In this video, we're going to be using Oura Ring's banner as our design inspiration to create something similar inside of Elementor. We are also going to be creating background graphics for this inside of Figma. It's a free version of Figma, and I'm going to make it really easy to follow along. Basically, we're just going to geek out, have some fun, and create something cool. All right, check it out. To get started, we already got the header built, and I built it out just like what we have here, but kept it very simple. You could build yours out as you like. We're going to focus right now on the banner. So the first thing we're going to do is add an outer section, and you are going to want to open up your navigator. We're going to be using this a lot. Okay, so I'm going to label this. I'm going to call this my outer section. And now in here, we need to drop the intersection because this block right here, this background, this is all going to be an intersection. That's how we're going to get these paddings on the side. So with that, let's go up over here to container, drop in that inner one, and let's also label this. I'm going to call it banner wrapper. Now inside of the outer container, let's change this to full width. And then let's go over here to advanced and let's give it a padding. I'm going to give it a right and left padding of 1.5 rem. I'm going to change this to rem. Let's unlink this and I'll put those over there. Now we can see the dotted lines, how we are getting that spacing. Now let's go back over to our banner wrapper. From here, let's give it a background color just so we can see it working. I want to see what we are working with. There we go. Awesome. Now let's go over to our layouts and we need to change the height on this. Now, if we go back over to our example, and if we were to adjust the height on this, you can see that this sticks right here to the bottom. This does not move right here. And that's what we want to get. We want to have that full width with this same sort of action. So let's go back over here and we are going to change this to a VH, the viewport height. And let's open this up. We could open it up to, let's say, I'm going to open it up to 92 because if we look here at our example, it does go off screen, but just by a little bit. And notice we got the rounded corners as well. All right, now that we got that, let's go ahead and add in our elements. The first element is going to be our header right here. And then we're going to need to add in another inner container right here to put in our text and our button. So let's drop those in. I'm going to put in a header. Then I'm going to drop in an inner container. And then inside of this inner container, we're going to put in either, you could put in either a text editor or header. I choose to do headers and leave them as a P for paragraph. It's just a personal preference, whichever one you choose to use. And then I am going to add a button. Now let's go ahead and style these up really quick. I'm just going to go to my style. I'm not going to spend too much time on the styling right now. But luckily, having global set up could speed up the whole process. All right, let me see here. I got my regular text, and then let me change my color to white. And then here on the button as well, let's go over here and add in our global styles. I have a button text already set up. I am going to use this color right here, and actually let me put in a dark color. All right, that looks pretty cool right there. I am going to put, let me just put 50 here for border radius, and I'm pretty much good to go for right now. Go ahead and adjust your padding to get the desired style for your buttons that you will like. Let me go ahead and update it just to save my progress. Now I'm going to take this content because I want to use it for my example. There's a few things that I still want to do that's going to help out, I believe. So let's copy that. And let's add that in right here. We wanted to break after lowest like what it is here. So to do that, we're going to go to advanced, to width, to custom, and then from here select on pixel. Now I choose to use pixel because it's absolute. You can use pixel or rem. Just do not use percentages right here. And I'm going to open this up and right around here, I want to round it off. Don't leave it on a weird number like 471. rounded up at least shows that effort and thought went into it. I'm going to do the same over here now. I'm going to go to advanced, to custom, change this to pixel, and then I'm going to leave it at about 340 is good. Now over here in button as well, what do they have? Shop the sale. Okay, that's pretty cool. You see, the reason why I'm also going to put in this content, I mean, we could change it later, but it's good to have the amount and size of content as well, because I like to design content. The cell. Okay, it's hard for me to talk and type at the same time. Now let's keep going. Hit advanced, and then from here select align self to the left one at start. I like to have these pink boxes wrapping the content, especially when working with a layout like this. There's just one more thing. Right here we have a different style of text. Now you could do this, but you're going to need to add some inline CSS. I already had some prepared. It's a span tag right here with some CSS to change the style. Let me close that up. That's a whole nother CSS lesson, but why CSS is so important, because we could do a whole lot more inside of Elementor. Okay, now let's go ahead and start adjusting our banner wrapper right here. We need to get that spacing in between here and here. So what we're going to do is go to layout, and then we are going to go to justify content right here and select on space in between. The next thing we need to do is add some padding inside here. That's going to help out a whole lot and give us this spacing here and also the spacing here at the bottom. Now, first off, let me go back to my banner wrapper. I want to make sure, okay, it's at a full width. We need to make this boxed. So only the outer wrapper should be full width. The outer section should be full width, and the inner banner wrapper should be boxed. Now from here, go over to advanced. I am going to set this at rem. Rem is better for accessibility, it's better for development practices. You can still use pixels, but I personally prefer to use rem more when it comes to paddings and margins. So I'm going to unlink this. Let me put 1.5 left, 1.5 right. And now on the top, let's go ahead and eyeball this one a little bit first to start off with. We could come back and adjust it to where we feel it works the best. But for right now, I'm just going to base it off of what I see. Now I got this at 12 top, and then on the bottom, let's take this to about 4. So this looks really close to what we are working with here. I could probably add a little bit more on top. In fact, let me do that. I'm going to take this to 15. All right, that's looking pretty good right there. Now, the last thing I need to do is give it some rounded corners. Let me go back to my inner banner wrapper that I have right here. Over to style, to border, and let's give it a border radius. For this, I could keep it on pixel or rem is fine. Your choice. I'm going to take this to 20. Now I got it at the top and bottom. Personally, I like it better on top and bottom. I know on Oura, they keep a squared here at the top, but rounded off at the bottom. Totally, again, design preference, but there are a few things I probably would be doing different on this website if I were the one designing it. Okay, cool. We have this now. Now it's time to put our background image. After we do our background image, we are then going to make it responsive and fix this menu right here. So we're going to go over here now to Figma. This is where I create all of my graphics, and I've already created one right here. I'll show you how I did this. I'm going to go ahead and create an artboard here. Let me just make a regular size one for a screen. In the fill, I'm going to make this a gradient. Let me change it to the sides. And then we're going to add several stops right here. And this is where we would take time, geek out, and get it right. So let me go ahead and adjust the colors. And I'm going to make all of these the same color. Now I'm going to start adding in and kind of making like a little bit of a zebra effect with something darker in it. If we look at Oura ring right here, you can see it's just kind of like a few simple stripes in the back, like it's very, very subtle. So we could keep about with that and just keep trying new things. This is one of those things that we will geek out on a little bit and have some fun with it. you just adjust them and try to get the effect that you want. I'm going to take it at an angle, spread it out a little bit. And now you can see we got a bit of that effect right here. Now, the next thing we want to do is add in some graphics like this. We're going to do something very similar to this right here. I'm just going to take a few elements, kind of put them together off to the side. So from here, I am using these objects. You could get a lot of these. I got a lot more. I get all of mine from UI8. This is my go-to for my design resources, but then there's also Envato and all kinds of other places to get them. From here though, I am just picking some of these objects. I already got some over here. Let me open this up, and then I'm just going to drag them and move them around. I got some of these larger objects over here, some of the smaller ones, and I could put them in. And then from here, this is where you're going to take a bit of time because you're going to want to geek out a little bit on this. It does, for me, this is where I tend to spend more of my time. Let me move this one to the back. I'll create an effect like I can make this a layer, a blur right here to give it a little bit of depth. It'll make it look like it's in the background and getting that blurred effect going on. We got this here. I could put this one right here and this here. Let me move this to the back as well. And I'm also going to do the same. I'm going to give it more of a blur. Select on layer blur. And then I'll just move it up until it looks like it's really blurred out. You see, it looks like this one is far. This one looks a little bit closer, and this one is here right up inside of the front. We can now group these. And then here, we could play around with each individual one, see what looks good, what doesn't. We could even change the sizes. And again, this is where I spend time geeking out. And then in the final process of building the website, that is when I add in all of the graphics because I might want to spend more time and not slow down my workflow. But from here, we could go ahead and export it, create an image, and check this out. I could export this. I'll turn this into a JPEG. I'll even double the size on it. We'll export this right here. I'm just going to give it a temporary name. We'll take this right now and I will, let me see, I'll put it into my Affinity photo. Let me go ahead and optimize it in here. And by the way, I do have an upcoming video showing how I optimize all my images in Affinity. But I just want to show you what we're working with here. I'm going to change this to a 2000, which is really big, 2000 pixels. We have it at 80%, and it's only 73 KB. That's it. This is a small banner that is going to load fast. This is the reason why we are doing this inside of Figma, because we could turn this into a JPEG and optimize it. If we were to do each one of these elements individually, it would be a very large file size and it's going to load super slow. Let's go ahead and put in that background image. We're going to put it in our banner wrapper. So go back here to your style, to your image, and then you're going to go ahead and load it. So I already got a few of these that I made. But what you would do when you are making these and you are playing around with them inside of Figma like this, you are going to try different ones out, different sizes. You're going to do a few. Maybe this one didn't look right. Maybe we need to move this one over a bit. Maybe everything is just a little bit too big. Also, it might be over to the size too much. Now, what I did come out with on the final version was I wanted to make sure here at the top we have enough space for our menu. And that down here at the bottom, it pretty much goes almost all the way down to the bottom. And then I also centered it enough to the left, but not too much where it at least could make some sort of presence by the text. That way it's not pushed all the way over. In the other versions, I had it over here and it was being cut off like this. But from right here, we're going to go and set these up. I am going to position this top center, and then we're going to put on no repeat, and then we're going to put this one on cover. Let's go ahead and move this over here. Let me close my side panel. And now we have our banner that's looking pretty good, and this is in a good position. And again, all you're going to do is adjust this. If you have to make a few copies like I did here, I have a few of them. Not all of them look good. Like this was another one. I felt like this was too small. It was over to the right, and I just adjust it. Next up, let's fix our header. I'm going to update this, save our progress. I'm going to go over here to header. And then from here, let me go to the container that is wrapping the header. In fact, let me label this. I'm going to put this header, and I'm going to call this promo bar here at the top. It's always good to label these. Now from here, I am going to go over to advanced. Let's go to Z index and give it about 100. We want to make sure it layers on top of our banner. And then we're going to go to our margin. I leave it on pixel for this because we are going to have to play around with it to get it the exact measurement. And we're just going to use a negative margins on the bottom, pull it up until it flushes with the pink bar up here at the top, and 78 pixels looks just about right. Now, next up, let's go over here to edit page because we need to make this mobile responsive. And there are a couple things we could do. Okay, I'm going to refresh this because it didn't show the changes in the front end. All right, now we're good. Here we go. So next up in responsive mode, let's take this to tablet. If we go to Oura Ring, let's take a look at their responsiveness. You can see here, as soon as they go to tablet, they remove those side paddings. So let's go ahead and do the same. And I'm going to go over here to my outer section, and then in my outer section, we are just going to put this at 0. That's simple. Now, if you want to keep the border radius up here at the top, that is totally up to you. For me though, I am going to remove it at the top, but I'll keep it at the bottom. I just think it'll look good like that for when it is flush right here. I'm just going to go back to my style, to my border, and let's go ahead and do this. And I'm just going to keep it at 20 pixels on the bottom. It's going to be on the left, which is the bottom left, and then 20 on the bottom. Now let's go to mobile because there are some things we need to fix. First off, that background image right there is going to be conflicting with the content, and we don't want that to happen. So we're going to have to adjust this image. Also, if we look at the header right here, we got way too much spacing on the sides. Let's address this header really quick. I'm going to jump right into my header. And then we're going to make sure we're in the header section right here. And we had a 3 on the left and right. Let's go ahead and change this now to, let's not forget this, 1 on top and bottom. And then we're going to put 1.5 on the left and right because that's going to be the same as the padding inside here. Okay, let's update this and jump back to our page. Now we're nice and flushed on our margins here on the side. Nice. Okay, now let's address this padding. First thing we could do, one of a couple things. We can either go over here to our image and change the position. We could change it to the left and take it all the way off the screen, which is actually okay for mobile sometimes. That is an option. We could also try different things here and see it does any of them work. But there is one more option, and that is to create a secondary image just for mobile, which is what I did here. For this situation, for this website, because I find this graphic pretty dope, and I could see this really working well, I decided to create another graphic. Now to do this, I'm going to press A to go to my artboards. Go here to phone, and I'm going to select the iPhone Pro Max. I just want a bigger one. First right-clicked, went to copy properties, and then go over here, select on the artboard, and select on paste properties. And then change up the actual background. We could adjust how we want it to look. And this is pretty good right here. Now the next thing you could do, which I did, was I just copied this, went here, paste it here, and then just make it smaller. and then push it down here to the bottom. And then export it like this. And again, we would try different versions. Some sizes you might want to see, can you get away with it being bigger? Is it too big or too small? Sometimes I got to try 4 or 5 different times. But now we have this space up here and we could adjust our content to fit up here. The user scrolls down and sees the graphics, and then we got an awesome mobile design. So let's go back over here. First thing I want to do is go to my banner wrapper. Let's add in that new image for mobile. I have it already over here. You can see it was built. We have it there. Now let's go ahead and put in top center, and we put it in the top center so that way it's stuck to the top. That way we have more control over that space where we are going to put our content. Now let's go back over here to layout, and instead of space in between, we are going to space it at start. We're now going to group it together, and the only thing left that we got to do is we could go to our minimum height. We could adjust that here. We could either adjust it here, or we could add some padding. Let's play around with it and see what will work best. All right, so right over here we have our padding. All right, let's go ahead and keep the sides the same at 1.5. That way it's going to be the same as our header. And usually when I do this, I keep all of my content with the same padding on the left and right. Let's go ahead and add some of this padding at the top. Okay, 8, you know what? Let me put in 10 here. And now we got a pretty cool banner for mobile right here. You can still see the graphics. The content is right there at the top. Easy to read, easy to see. If anything, I probably would maybe give this a little bit more spacing. Maybe I would give it about 20 pixels on the bottom. And that is about it. Now from here, you would just adjust it. That would be the only thing that you would need to do. Seeing how it looks like on the phone. Make sure to test this out on the phone, because on the phone is always going to look different from here. Now we have our banner that looks very similar to what we have here in the Oura ring, using this as a design inspiration. And from here, I probably would geek out a little bit more. I would look at the differences, like right here, they do go off screen. So you could always go back over here to your wrapper, and then you could always, push it out a little bit more. Like I probably would take it to right here. And then underneath as well, it'd be really cool to add something like a bento grid, like what Oura Ring did right here. And then from here, this is where we can let our creativity and our designs start to take off. And most important, have some fun while doing it. Well, I hope you're able to create something cool. And if you've had it with boring banners, then definitely like and subscribe. We got a lot more of these design tuts coming up. That's it for this one. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.